newly released image of 3I Atlas confirms it's not a comet, stunning researchers worldwide.
It began on a cold October night. Something appeared in the sky that left even the sharpest minds speechless. The interstellar object known as 3I Atlas had already defied logic with its sudden acceleration through space. But when an MIT scientist captured high-resolution images of it, everything changed. What he revealed wasn't a comet of ice and dust. It was something constructed. Its geometry was too perfect, its reflections too precise, and its surface patterns too deliberate to be a coincidence. For the first time, science stared at the unknown and quietly admitted it was looking back. The discovery. At first, 3I Atlas seemed like nothing special. A faint blur drifting across the night sky, barely visible even through powerful telescopes. Astronomers logged it as just another interstellar visitor, one of the few ever detected entering our solar system. But within days, the data began to shift. Its orbit wasn't random. Its brightness changed too sharply. Its motion didn't fit any known comet model. What looked like a frozen rock revealed something far more intentional. Scientists around the world started tracking it. Every major observatory sent its measurements to NASA's central system, and what they found was staggering. 3I Atlas was massive, nearly 5 kilometers wide, and heavier than both previously observed interstellar objects combined. Its flight path was unnervingly precise, gliding perfectly through the plane of our solar system at an angle that would intersect the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Statistically, that kind of accuracy shouldn't be possible. Then came the first red flag, its light. Comets usually scatter sunlight through a hazy tail of dust and gas, but 3I Atlas didn't behave that way. Its light shimmered, flashing bright and dim as though sunlight were bouncing off smooth metallic panels. When the pattern repeated night after night, astronomers realized they were witnessing something that didn't fit any known category. NASA released a careful statement, calling it an unusual interstellar comet. But behind closed doors, the word comet no longer made sense. Its speed, its orbit, its strange reflective behavior, all of it hinted not at chaos, but at design. The MIT revelation. A small research team at MIT decided to take a closer look. Using the university's new adaptive imaging system, they captured the clearest photos ever taken of the object, and what they found pushed even the most rational scientists to the edge of disbelief. Instead of an irregular, rocky shape, 3I Atlas displayed unnaturally straight edges. One side reflected light evenly, like polished metal rather than frozen stone. At first, the team thought it must be a glitch or atmospheric distortion. But when the next images came in, the same precise shape appeared again, unchanged and deliberate. The lead scientist, with decades of experience studying celestial bodies, knew instantly. The geometry was impossible. Natural objects crumble, deform, and fracture as they travel through space. This one did not. It showed symmetry, almost as if panels or ridges had been deliberately arranged along its surface. Its reflection pattern across multiple wavelengths revealed something engineered, not naturally formed. When the team compared their results with data from NASA and the European Southern Observatory, no known comet or asteroid matched its light signature. Spectral readings pointed to a material stronger than any natural rock, something dense, metallic, perhaps similar to the nickel-based alloys used in spacecraft shielding. The object also wasn't radiating the way frozen gases or minerals should. It didn't behave like ice under heat. It acted as though it were managing its own temperature. Word of the MIT images spread quietly through private channels. NASA quickly requested the data for review. Within hours, several of the original photos had been flagged or removed from shared servers. The scientists' local backups were the only remaining proof, and they were enough to confirm everyone's growing suspicion. The geometry of fear. When the team enhanced their remaining images, the truth came into focus. The outline of 3I Atlas wasn't jagged or irregular. It was clean, symmetrical, architectural. Repeating angles, evenly spaced ridges, and a long flat surface stretched perfectly from one end to the other. No natural object could maintain such precision after crossing interstellar space. It looked built, engineered for endurance. The most chilling detail came from the shadows. When sunlight struck the object at certain angles, faint rectangular markings appeared, arranged in rows, some brighter than others. They looked like panels, or perhaps ports, aligned with mechanical precision. At first, scientists dismissed it as image noise. But as the object rotated, those same patterns moved in sync with its surface. They weren't optical illusions. They were part of the structure itself. By comparing data from multiple observatories, the team discovered that 3I Atlas rotated once every 21 hours, slowly and evenly, like something under control. Natural comets tumble unpredictably, their spin altered by gas jets or collisions. This one rotated smoothly, mathematically steady, as if guided by an internal system. Spectral scans revealed one final anomaly: a faint internal glow. Every few hours, it emitted a pulse of infrared light, releasing heat in perfect rhythm. It wasn't random. It was controlled, like an engine regulating temperature or a reactor cycling energy. The signals beneath the silence. After uncovering the object's strange geometry, the MIT team began scanning every nearby frequency. They searched for anything, any whisper, any anomaly that could explain the impossible. What they found next would change everything humanity thought it knew about the universe. The scientists expected nothing but random cosmic noise. Instead, they found order. Buried deep within the static were faint rhythmic pulses, steady, repeating with a precision too perfect to be chance. Each pulse lasted exactly 3 seconds, followed by a pause of 10. Over and over, the sequence returned every few hours, never faltering. At first, the team assumed it was interference from Earth. But when observatories in Chile, Japan, and South Africa detected the same pattern at the exact same moment, that explanation vanished. The rhythm was real, and it was coming from 3I Atlas itself. It wasn't strong enough to be communication in any known sense, but it wasn't random either. The energy was structured, deliberate, and eerily consistent. Further analysis revealed something even stranger. The pulse frequencies matched the infrared surges NASA had recorded weeks earlier, the same heartbeat-like emissions that had baffled their instruments. When the MIT team compared the two datasets, a disturbing realization emerged. The spacing of the pulses mirrored the geometric layout of the object's surface panels. It was as if the structure and the signal were speaking the same language, one made of matter, the other of light. No one dared to say the word message, but the idea hung heavy in the air. The intervals felt intentional, like calibration or code. If this thing was artificial, it might be designed to maintain contact with something, or to broadcast its status across the void. The pattern that shouldn't exist. By mid-November, data from around the world became impossible to ignore. Every time telescopes turned toward 3I Atlas, its readings shifted, the light curve changed, the reflections brightened, and its infrared pulse grew stronger. It was as if the object knew it was being watched, subtly adjusting to the attention it received. When the researchers plotted the data on a timeline, every variation matched human observation windows with unnerving precision. The odds of that being coincidence were effectively zero. To confirm, MIT's lead analyst compiled every recorded pulse since Halloween. What emerged sent chills through the entire lab. The intervals weren't random. They matched the binary sequence for the mathematical constant pi, short, long, over and over. The same rhythm repeating for weeks. No natural process in the universe is known to follow pi. That discovery forced the team to confront what no one wanted to admit. They weren't studying a natural phenomenon. They were witnessing design. When they cross-checked their findings against NASA's raw telemetry, the same pattern appeared, hidden deep within the background noise. The pulse was real. Something inside 3I Atlas was releasing energy encoded in mathematics, a universal language recognized by any civilization capable of counting. And as they continued to observe, the sequence evolved. Every few cycles, the pulse shifted pitch, layering harmonic tones that seemed to echo each other. When these layers were mapped in 3 dimensions, they formed a perfect spiral. The same golden ratio seen in galaxies, hurricanes, and DNA. It was the pattern of life itself. Word spread quietly among scientists. This wasn't just a machine or a drifting object. It was something that understood structure and communication on a level beyond human comprehension. A signal built from the laws of nature, designed to be noticed. The light that changed everything. As winter approached, the pulses weren't the only anomaly drawing attention. The light coming from 3I Atlas began to change. Through MIT's imaging network, scientists observed subtle shifts in its color spectrum. Comets usually reflect sunlight predictably, but this one shifted hues with purpose, cycling slowly between pale blue, white, and gold. The transition wasn't random or caused by dust. It followed the same precise timing as the energy pulses. Every full rotation of the object produced a flash lasting exactly 8 minutes, fading just as the next pulse began. The coordination between light and energy suggested synchronization, as if the entire structure was transmitting through more than one channel. When the data was examined more closely, scientists discovered faint variations in ultraviolet light hidden within those shifts. When charted, the variations formed repeating geometric patterns, interlocking shapes that looked like intricate blueprints. They weren't letters or symbols, but sequences of angles and proportions, the kind used in advanced engineering designs. That was when the realization struck. 3I Atlas wasn't merely reflecting sunlight. It was using light to send information. Each flicker of brightness was part of a larger whole, a projection spread across wavelengths that human eyes could barely detect. Some scientists began calling it the light code. As they reconstructed the patterns, one recurring image appeared again and again. A large circular formation surrounded by smaller arcs, almost identical to the layout of planetary orbits. At its center was a bright, pulsing point, steady and alive, like a heartbeat. To some, it resembled a map. To others, a message. But for everyone who saw it, the same haunting thought took hold. It might not just represent life, it might be alive. The hidden core. By late November, curiosity had turned into obsession. The MIT team pushed their instruments to their absolute limits, determined to see what lay beneath the object's gleaming surface. The outer layer reflected too much light for standard imaging, but deep spectrum infrared scans revealed something astonishing. Beneath the metallic shell was a dense, circular core, radiating steady heat, completely independent of sunlight. At first, scientists theorized it might be a pocket of radioactive material, but the temperature was too constant, too stable. Natural sources fluctuate. This one didn't. It pulsed with quiet regularity, like something alive, or something running. The awakening. But this one was different. It didn't fluctuate or fade. It maintained the same energy level day after day, precise to the decimal point. That kind of stability meant regulation, a mechanism keeping itself balanced, as though something inside was alive and maintaining its own environment. Even stranger, the core wasn't centered. It was slightly offset, creating a faint wobble in its rotation, one that appeared deliberate rather than accidental. Every 6 hours, the rotation shifted by just a fraction of a degree, then corrected itself perfectly, as if guided by internal stabilizers. When MIT compared this new data with older spectral readings, a troubling pattern emerged. The same core had increased in brightness 3 separate times, each one occurring during Earth-based radar scans. Every time humanity focused on it, it seemed to respond, heating up, pulsing, or subtly reorienting itself, almost as if to acknowledge our attention. The night of the reaction. December 3rd began quietly. For weeks, the MIT team had been tracking 3I Atlas without incident. Its heat levels remained steady, its pulses predictable. But just after midnight Eastern Time, everything changed. The instrument spiked. The object suddenly brightened, not from reflected sunlight, but from within. Its core temperature surged nearly 50% in less than 10 minutes, releasing an immense wave of energy strong enough to trigger sensors across 3 continents. Telescopes in Chile, Hawaii, and Japan all recorded the same event. For exactly 21 minutes, 3I Atlas glowed with fierce intensity before fading back to normal. But when analysts examined the data, they realized the light wasn't uniform. It pulsed in repeating intervals that matched the binary pattern for the number 3. Short, short, long, over and over. To the naked eye, it was just a flash. But to scientists, it was unmistakably communication. The energy sequence matched the ratios observed in its earlier pulses and rotations. Everything, the movement, the light, the heat, was part of one system, operating in perfect harmony. Then came the most unsettling detail of all. Just after the final burst, 3I Atlas's trajectory shifted ever so slightly. On a cosmic scale, it was enormous, a deviation too controlled to be random. It wasn't caused by gas release or gravitational pull. It was propulsion. The object had moved, intentionally. NASA confirmed the deviation within hours, but avoided any speculation. Their public statement was simple. 3I Atlas exhibited unexpected activity consistent with non-gravitational acceleration. To the general public, it sounded routine. But to those who knew the data, it was confirmation. This thing was under control. At MIT, curiosity gave way to unease. If it had moved once, it could move again. And every time it reacted, it seemed to happen right after we looked closer, as if our observation itself was the trigger. The vanishing data. The morning after the December 3rd event was chaos. Every observatory that had recorded the surge found something wrong with their systems. Files were missing, data corrupted, timestamps erased. MIT's Central Archive had collected 12 terabytes of readings overnight. By sunrise, only half remained. The missing portions weren't random. They covered the exact hours when 3I Atlas had flared and changed course. The lead data engineer attempted recovery, but every effort failed. Backups stored on NASA servers had been automatically encrypted, locked behind new access codes no one had requested. When the team reached out for authorization, they were told the case was under administrative review. In research terms, that meant one thing. The information was no longer public. Independent observatories in South America and Europe reported similar issues. Some discovered corrupted image frames. Others found their telemetry replaced with blank files, except for strings of repeating binary digits, ones and zeros forming the same pattern seen in the object's light pulses. It was as though the data had rewritten itself. At first, scientists suspected a cyber attack, but no breach logs existed. The anomalies appeared to originate inside the systems themselves, as if a signal had directly interacted with the equipment. And the deeper they investigated, the stranger it became. The missing data wasn't simply deleted. It was selectively altered. Specific numerical values had been removed, leaving behind fragments that seemed deliberately redacted. The final revelation days. Later, 3I Atlas slipped beyond range. Only one fragment of clean data remained, buried deep in MIT's local backups. When it was finally decrypted, what it revealed changed everything. Hidden within the December light pulses was an encoded mathematical pattern, one that, when translated into coordinates, didn't point outward into deep space. It pointed inward toward Earth's own orbit. The object hadn't been sending a message to the stars. It had been signaling here. The coordinates corresponded to a region just beyond Earth's shadow, an orbital graveyard filled with defunct satellites and abandoned probes. For decades, it had been considered silent. But when researchers cross-referenced their data, they found something chilling. During the exact hour, 3I Atlas transmitted its final pulse. 3 long-dead satellites in that region briefly came back online, broadcasting short bursts of static identical to its signal sequence. The same rhythm, the same binary code, the pattern of 3. NASA dismissed it as interference, but the MIT team knew better. It was proof. Something had answered. The object hadn't disappeared into deep space. It had passed its message to something already here. The implications were almost unbearable. An interstellar relay, a hidden network older than humanity itself, awakening dormant machines we had forgotten long ago. The lead scientist at MIT stared at the decoded coordinates in silence, the weight of realization sinking in. None of it had been random. The acceleration, the light, the core, the reactions. Every event had been part of a sequence, each step leading to this final exchange near Earth's orbit. By the end of that week, 3I Atlas was gone from every official tracking system. No one could confirm its location, or if it still existed. Yet across the globe, radio telescopes began to detect faint whispers at its frequency, soft, rhythmic pulses echoing through the dark sky, like distant memories of something that had once been alive.